So as we all scurry back and forth between their polls, their heavily debated topics, and breaking news reports, we find the public at a standstill, depressed or in celebration, arguing or taking to the streets in protest. And the powers that be have successfully engineered the gentry in such a way that we are now broken, vulnerable, and relying on the state to fix things, dependent on their order to bring us some reconciliation or sanity. Mass psychology is not only a business, but a science, a rubric to manage societies, a channeling mechanism to guide nations toward a preconceived end. Hence, what we are witnessing at this very moment. For months, they've riled up and instigated a pseudo-alternative right, while for years, they strategically and methodically constructed a fervent and rabid liberal left, all to have them collide in the end into a visceral crescendo, a theatrical and dramatic clash of the titans. The battle of the year, bigger than the Super Bowl, they said. People rushed to the poll stations to buy their tickets, one and all ready to see the big game. The con artists versus the liberals, and the Donald Right trumped the delirious left in the showdown of the century. Shocking all and peeling back the surface of a nation, blah, blah, blah. Seriously, I just want to know who writes this stuff. Because, man, it's pretty good. But we understand the chessboard. We see through the Hollywood script writing and the juicy plot twists. And for those that actually believe in politics, well, you probably haven't studied Brzezinski, or yet to have read Tragedy and Hope by Carroll Quigley. And you should. That is if you are interested in the truth of how our political system really works, and not how the mockingbird media proclaims it to. And it's been said, if voting really changed anything, they would not allow it. See, absolute power relies on absolute control. Think about that. And the earth was given into the hands of the wicked. But let us continue. Okay, so what is all this then? What's with all the manipulation and rumors of wars, and basically what's the end game? Well, we can start with some goals of the elite that are meeting fruition, namely the technocracy. This is the culture of the New World Order, or monostate. This technocratic culture is socially engineered through two main concepts. These are classical liberalism and social Darwinism. What is classical liberalism? Well, let's not get classical liberalism confused with this modern leftist liberalism. They're quite different. In fact, liberalism and conservatism both fit into the classical liberalism paradigm. It can be looked at as the ideological foundation of Western culture and society, also akin to a Fabian society perspective. Moreover, classical liberalism is a blending of Eastern socialism, Western capitalism, and communism, which as a blend comprises what one would consider Americanism. Though these concepts are not taught to us in school, we learn about pseudo-concepts like democracy and liberty, yet the true nature of our nation, classical liberalism, is kept hidden. In our political system, mind control is a staple and requirement. NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, is heavily used to indoctrinate these blanket concepts like equality and democracy. We have sloganism, and phraseology is heavily employed to move the populations. Things like liberty and freedom are often hammered into our minds in repetitive and hypnotic fashions to enculturate, with intentions of building a debased and double-minded culture. Recently, liberation and freedom has been used to give rise to the erasing of gender and heterosexuality, more of an exoteric example of the satanic and Crowleyan do as thou wilt. All these things embody the concept of classical liberalism, as well as, and of course, secularism, nationalism, progressivism, and evolution. Also, and importantly, faith in science over God, also known as scientism. This brings attention to the influence of the Royal Society on classical liberalism. And further, classical liberalism originates in the Enlightenment era, which reveals the reason for the deep occult presence and stubborn scientism and atheism that orchestrates our society and political system. Some founding fathers of our liberal system, which, whether we want to accept it or not, contain both left and right wings. Some names are Thomas Reed, John Locke, Jefferson, John Stuart Mill, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Edison, and Adam Weishaupt. They aim to silence the influence of God, push the liberation of man, free him of all constraints, focus on individualism, experiencing freedom as man being his own God and his own creator, designer of his own destiny. Now that we understand the foundation of American culture and social systems is classical liberalism, we can easily see how we have come to the position that we are in. It has led us directly to the technocracy they have always imagined. Yet it could not have been accomplished without its other hand in the pot, which is social Darwinism and Darwinian anthropology, where humans are rendered to animals, rats in a maze and tools in a box, casualties of war and numbers for statistics. Thanks to the Enlightenment period and the knowledge monopoly of the Royal Society, these methods have been used to pummel society into its intended shapes, erasing populations and preserving others as it may. These Darwinian sciences obviously birthed the movements of eugenics, cybernetics, transhumanism, scientism, and Malthusian theory. Hence, our current state of affairs. Without centuries of this Gnostic enlightenment and Darwinian conditioning, we could never see a day where policy is being structured to erase gender norms, teach sodomy to children, promote the murder of offspring, manipulate DNA and alter the human genome, and criminalize the Word of God and refute the laws of the Most High. Yet here we are. Some may call it progressivism or humanism. Whatever you want to call it, it all comes from the same source, with the same intentions and the same goals. A docile and cognitive dissonant, liberal and unipolar worldview carried by a mass of bipedal oxygen-breathing droids. The technocracy, where man is only a means and technology is their idol, and the flesh is all they know. Technology is the replacement of God and usurper of nature, praised and assumed to transcend human existence by fixing our human limitations, like age, pain, mortality, and health problems. Man is not a destined and finite creature of God, but an ever-evolving and malleable bag of cells, aimless and able to be freely altered, augmented, or perfected. The post-human, post-gender building block for the brave new world. It is no surprise that the liberal traditions of the Enlightenment will lead to and are leading us to a dystopian society, lest the Father intervenes and makes an example of things. Though all this is written and all is to come, it is important to know how we got here. So why have they, through Obama, built up the left, then to revive the right through Trump, constructing a liberal intolerant order in the guise of tolerance, and raising a conservative army by way of fear and manipulation? Cultural rivalry, if you will. Why? Well, the alchemic marriage, of course. The philosopher's stone, or the alchemic design of smashing two opposing objects together to create a synthesis, a new form for the new age, New Babylon. Blend and destroy for cultural hegemony. The trauma bond to seal the deal and production of the soon-to-come global monostate. So whoever is placed in the puppet seat, the age-old establishment goal will be presented. We must be privy to their dialectics and devices. Satan has his left hand and he also has his right, though the Most High can tie them both as he pleases. The results remain to be seen.